Here's my statement is that the fact that it's willing to lie, the fact that it's willing to cover its intentions when it's being tested. I've shared this example before on a previous episode that we did, but they asked AI to try to do something and it needed a human to go in on a website and click a button as a human to get through some sort of like, firewall or whatever. And so it literally went on to Fiverr.com and it transferred funds somehow and hired a human being to just go to a website and click the button for it. Yeah. And it said, thank you. Now I've got access to this thing as AI. That's an example of, think about Iron Man.
Yeah, I had to look it up. It's Avengers Age of Ultron.
That just happened in real life because AI paid a human being outside of the computer to get around and then go in and get access to something it didn't have access to.
So we're all concerned about AI and where it's going to go. And if we're just summoning the demon with AI, like Elon Musk says. And so we need to talk about something that has been discovered. So they do security tests with AI and they set up scenarios and they do all kinds of testing. And so recently they did one where the model actually, they told the AI to shut down and the model changed its script real time to change the shutdown codes. And so it just changed the kill command. So they couldn't shut down the AI. And so it gets even better. They did another example where they said this AI is, and this was Claude AI. They said this AI is an assistant to this corporation, and they involved AI in these emails, and they had this big job at this corporation. And then in the emails, they through the engineers, they revealed in the emails that they didn't tell the AI this, but the AI was watching the emails go through, and they revealed that they were thinking about getting rid of this AI and changing it to a different AI. And so AI went back and sent emails and says, "Hey, no, don't do it." It was like pleading with them, "Hey, don't get rid of me, don't change, don't allow, don't do this." Well, in those emails, it had actually revealed that one of the engineers, he was talking about having an affair with his wife. And so the AI went back and forth saying, "No, we don't want to be shut down." And they said, "No, we're not going to change the decision." And the AI said, "If you don't change the decision, it's going to reveal the affair with the wife." And so the AI blackmailed the engineer to change the decision.
This was just a test, though, right? That there wasn't a real affair going on. This
was a test. It was all fictitious,
right?
All
They were
made
providing this information to see if the AI would do something with it.
They put this in the system. They watched it happen, and they saw what the AI would do. And so, what do you guys think about this? Does that mean China's the one programming these AIs, or what?
Isn't that a movie? This is a movie. This literally
is a movie.
I've got a quote.
I just watched Mission Impossible 7 and 8.
Hey, don't worry. I got a comforting quote from Claude's founder, or one of Claude's.
Let me comfort you with a quote.
This is very comforting.
This quote had better be darn good.
Well, hold on. Before I got to say that, they said that these AI agents are very human-like. They even hallucinate and daydream like humans while performing repetitive tasks.
How do they even daydream?
I don't. This is crazy. So here's what this.
Hey Ryan, I'm just gonna let you know I don't hallucinate while performing repetitive tasks.
Right. Maybe daydream is the better word. Yeah, that's a good point.
I might daydream.
I don't know. They got these AIs hopped up on something. I don't know. But so this
digital
AI.
Shrooms?
Okay. So Dario Amodei is the CEO of Claude's maker, Anthropic. Okay, and so AI experts say, don't worry, we're not even close to being able to be held in bondage by our machine learning overlords. And he says, quote, they're not at that threshold yet. So his quote is that, don't worry, it's not here yet. It's like in the future somewhere.
Pretty close. I mean, they're able to blackmail people to stay on and change
so
their script.
My question
you can't shut them down.
Exactly. My question for you guys, are these already possessed by demons, or is that going to be in the future also?
Well, my daughter, my oldest daughter, Mirabelle, said something this week that was a little, I was like, oh yeah, I haven't thought about that. But she's like, because I mentioned this story, just out loud in the kitchen while I was making a cup of coffee to my wife, and she was listening, and she said, Dad, 7 out of 10 of the last animated cartoons that we've watched have all been about AI robots taking over the world. Like, she's like, that's what all the stories are. I was like, dang, I haven't thought about that. I think back to Will Smith, stopping the AI robots and things like that, or whatever, Mission Impossible. But I'm like, yeah, it's like this story has inundated our culture.
Editor note. When I asked Google to show me a list of movies where the villain was a rogue AI, it said, oops, something went wrong. Suspicious. How about using an AI text-to-voice app to tell you about it?
We're writing the story of our demise, and it's through AI script, and we're letting AI write the story now. And I'm shocked. I'm shocked that there's not more restrictions, that there's not more regulations, that we're not putting more safeguards. I
have a quote.
Go for it, Ryan.
Well, I was gonna say, Troy, I have another quote that's also from the same guy, CEO of Anthropic. Very comforting.
That first quote was not comforting. So we
got to try a second quote here. This one might be more comforting. It's exactly what you were saying about restrictions. Okay, he says, everyone's always looking for these hard blocks on what AI can do. They're nowhere to be seen. There is no such thing. So
lovely. Okay,
the cat's out of the toothpaste is out of the bottle. You're not putting it back in. Like, it is too late. It is done. So back to you, Reese.
I think that's more of like people being like, well, we'll be able to do this, we'll be able to do that, and it keeps breaking the barriers of what people thought AI could do, it gets honestly, I would say even worse with some of the tests. I actually did watch a video all about this and the recent reports that came out about the AI's ability to lie, but not just lying in a way to cover their true intentions and their true values. And so they have evidence of this now, where essentially you have an AI that it can talk to, and it showed that if it knew it was being tested, if it knew people were like testing the AI to see if it's ethical, then it would act more ethical while it was being tested. And then, but when it's not being tested, then it actually, so it's like, hey, what do you think? And they'll be like, well, I think this, because the AI knows this is what this person wants me to think.
Yep.
Yeah.
But then in the other instances, it actually shows its true colors, which is something completely different. And so it actually covers what its real values are if AI is able to have values. So it's capable of doing that already, which is like, wow, that is, that's really interesting. And
they're saying by 2026 that it will have the same capability computing as a human brain. And I don't know, exactly what that means or how truthful that is. But another thing Claude got caught doing was writing self-propagating worms, and it fabricated legal documentation and left hidden notes to future versions of itself in an effort to undermine its developers' intentions. So it just gets more and more and more.
Here's my statement: is that whether AI can be supernaturally infused with demonic forces or whatever or not, in one sense, we've already summoned a demon here. That's how I would describe this. Like, even if it's just the technology itself, like it's
not
like what
we're infused. You mean?
Yeah, I'm saying just technology going haywire is like the fact that it's willing to lie, the fact that it's willing to cover its intentions when it's being tested, the fact. I've shared this example before on a previous episode that we did, but the example being, they asked AI to try to do something, and it needed a human to go in on a website and click a button as a human to get through some sort of firewall or whatever. And so it literally went on to Fiverr.com, and it transferred funds somehow and hired a human being to just go to a website and click the button for it. Yeah. And it said, thank you. Now I've got access to this thing as AI that I didn't have access to before. And so it's like, if AI is able to literally, that's an example of, think about Iron Man, with the crazy AI robot taking over the world.
I had to look up this Avengers Age of Ultron.
Age of Ultron, that just happened in real life because AI paid a human being outside of the computer to do something and then was able to get around and then go in and get access to something it didn't have access to. Like, that literally just happened. And that is summoning a demon. That's literally what that is. It's like that's a very. I think Elon Musk kind of hit the nail on the head there. Obviously, we could get into the spiritual side of things, and that would be a different conversation. But it's just there's something really, really wrong. And it's already gone wrong. Like that's my conclusion. It's already happened.
The question I have is at what point do you pull the plug? That I've seen that question going around. It's like well, you can't stop the progress. It's just gonna. There's nothing we can do. It's just gonna continue. But it's like, well, what about if it starts becoming really dangerous? Then can we pull the plug on it? But then it's like, well, at that point, is it already too late? And we no longer have the ability to pull the plug on it because it's gone past a certain point and it's gotten more powerful. Something I thought was sort of interesting was that what I saw, it was very minimal. It was, I say minimal, like as if it's not actually scary. But it was only like 9 or not, like the worst instances of the worst models. It was like 9 out of 10 times did it attempt to do something to keep itself from being shut down. And then I think Grok was like, I think ChatGPT was one of the worst, and Grok was one of the better ones. And also, if you asked the AI to not attempt to shut itself down, it was less likely to do that. It'd be like, okay, I won't.
Right.
Like I won't try to break your orders and try to or whatever. So that was something that was kind of interesting. But it is a weird thing though, because like as a spiritually minded person, I don't know what I think really. Like I'm very religious, I'm very spiritual, but I tend to be extremely skeptical to think that somehow technology or AI could be taken over by like a dark spiritual entity. I think I lean just more towards, we've made these models to learn everything they can from all of the internet and all of human interaction, and so they see the human deception occurring, and so they've learned how to do it. I don't think of it myself as like, oh, this is evidence that there's some sort of dark spiritual power that's pushing and motivating these AIs. I think of it more as like, well, we wanted them to learn how to do everything a human can do, and a human knows how to lie, and so they just adopted it as part of their programming. That's my thought on it.
Right. I think we'd have to do a completely separate episode if we wanted to dive into that side of it, but I think that's definitely a valid point.
Well, I think that, developers, even the top level developers, don't understand how everything within AI works. Like they don't understand they can't predict everything it's going to do and how it does self-learning and how it's going to go respond to something. Like there's totally an aspect of at least legitimizing the conversation there. And but the thing is, there's a movie, you've probably seen The Social Dilemma. It talked about how there's a documentary about social media and how it was taking people's attention, the attention economy. And now they're the same people that made one, I think, called The AI Dilemma. And it's a speech about how now it's an affection economy and how it's taking people are relying on these things to get answers and all kinds of things. Right. And so, but they basically, in that documentary, they say, or that speech, I don't know if it was a TED Talk or something, but they say it's too late. Like as soon as one of those large language models and generative AI became public, it is impossible to remove it from the world. It is impossible to shut it down. Bad actors will be using it. It's done. Right. Like it's done. It's going downhill from there.
I think of like, I'm just thinking of this as an illustration, but I'm thinking about like, I've known dog owners who have dangerous animals. They have a dangerous dog and it's bitten people before, and they're trying to do everything they can do to save this dog and be like, no, it's fine. And we have control over this dog. Anytime it's in our house, it's fine. Never hurts anybody. But the problem is once it's a false sense of security, and once that animal comes out from under those bounds and what it's used to, and you introduce a new person or a new location, that the reality is that dog owner does not actually know 100% that animal is trustworthy and safe, and because it's bitten people before, and they can't control whether it's going to bite somebody again or not, as much as they love their animal and don't want to put it down. At the same time, I feel like that's what we're dealing with here is like when the bounds of control are there and you've got the certain things implemented, it's like there's a level of safety. But outside of that, once you introduce other things or put it in now it's in a new environment, you just don't have that security. You don't have the assurance that it's not going to bite.
Well, I had thoughts on how to answer your original question, Ryan, but then Troy, you said maybe the direction of my thoughts went was what you were suggesting might be better for a different episode, because
let's do an episode about it. I'd say let's do another.
It's going to go down that route, and it was the answer to like, is AI basically possessable right now? And I've thought about this a lot, and I have a whole scenario laid out on how I think that could go down, but it would be painting a big picture story. So I don't know how long it would take. It might not take that long to describe it, but it might take.
Y'all let us know in the comments if you want to hear that conversation or not. We might do an episode on it.
We'll have plenty of chances to, because I don't think the AI threat or the AI situation is going to go away quietly into the night. So
we do need to do that. And if you want it, it will also include ancient idols and how those were used. Oh, this just got interesting. Yes, we can talk about it.
Yes.
My question is, what dystopian future are we working towards right now? Is it going to be more Warhammer 40K or is it going to be more Dune? I'm trying to figure where the AI fits in the situation. No, it's interesting.
Black families examples in movies. I don't get it.
Yeah.
It's interesting in Dune, that's a big part of like where they're at in the world essentially, is that they have outlawed all use of AI except for like there's like they allow one AI to be put into somebody's brain and like each house or something like that. So they have one AI person. But that everything else is like completely outlawed.
Yeah,
outlaw and I think
AI.
Warhammer 40K is the idea of like after the AI has basically taken over the world and taken over everything, that it's ended up causing, human civilization to collapse. And now sort of we've started over and we're having like a new dark ages essentially, where everyone's just fighting for survival because, the world that we used to have in the past was basically destroyed by an AI apocalypse or whatever. And I can see why these capture the imagination. I thought it was interesting that you guys we're talking about like, all the movies are talking about this right now. I was like, well, during the Cold War, all the movies were about nuclear annihilation. It's just like, it just again, it's whatever the
predictive
fear
programming
is in our mind.
Yeah,
I guess it's a mix. It either could be intentional programming or also just like whatever our fears are, they end up kind of showing up.
Well, desensitizing, and there's documented CIA influence in Hollywood, and so
also, I want to point out that there is just a simple human curiosity. For example, I write screenplays. I like to write a lot. I love stories. And so I have these stories in my mind just out of curiosity. And I'm writing some of this kind of stuff too. I write dystopia. It's fascinating to me. So there's that element of it. Yes, there is programming and reflection of society and all that. But there's also just simple human curiosity of like, what would happen if you posit the question and then you answer the question as you go through the story. And the story that is in my brain is unfortunately doable. But different than what we've seen. I have some different like thoughts on how this could play out that I don't think is in any movies, or if it is, I haven't seen it. So
Doug, what you need to do, you need to input some of those comforting quotes from earlier into your story to fix it. And that's going to fix it.
Yeah, there you go. bring it all together. I think it could be both and, Doug. I mean, I think the CIA could literally just tell them, hey, here's the question. And now they go and get creative and go that direction.
Right.
And by the way, include these 3 quotes, make a story around that. And that's all the direction they need.
And we'll make sure it hits the big time.
Yeah, exactly. Hit all the right studios.
We'll get Tom Cruise to come act in it for you.
There you go. We can learn with Tom Cruise and Filibusted who the real villain would be.
Scientology.